rhythm action franchises have made their home on handheld consoles, and it's not hard to see why. Their bite-sized nature means they're perfect for short journeys, and as most don't require much graphical power, they can fit on smaller systems without much compromise. Even series that have made their name on more powerful home consoles have delivered handheld versions, although they haven't all been bangers. Elite Beat Agents on the Nintendo DS is essentially a westernized version of Japanese rhythm game Owendan, with the J-pop and Japanese heavy sequences replaced by western songs and English language scenarios. And it's these scenarios that provide our characters with the many problems that the agents need to somehow solve with their slick dance moves. There are 19 stories in total, and they range from relatively normal situations, such as a movie director having to make an award-winning film in order to avoid being fired by the evil Mr. Fanny, to more offbeat stories like a washed-up baseball player having to defeat a lava-spewing golem at a theme park, and an angry man pelting sarcastic peanuts in the faces of zombified old people. And there's also a genuinely heart-wrenching special Christmas episode which is set to Chicago's You're the Inspiration. This particular episode is a rarity as the song fits somewhat with the story. In most of Elite Beat Agent's scenarios, the song has pretty much nothing to do with anything, like an old sailor looking for buried treasure to the tune of YMCA, or a champion sprinter fighting off a virus to Ashlee Simpson's La La. The final act is a slight disappointment as you do battle with Mickey Mouse's Illuminati rhomboids to a Hoobastank song that no one has ever heard of. But this is mitigated somewhat by a grand finale of the awesome Jumping Jack Flash by the Rolling Stones. In the main, the scenarios are entertaining and well worth watching at least once, but for some reason they move way too slowly and either have to be watched in full or skipped entirely. There's no way to hurry the text along. Actually playing Elite Beat Agents is pretty simple. You just need to tap or slide on the markers in numerical order when the outer ring lands directly over them, and then you're awarded a number of points based on how well timed your taps were. There's even a hand guide for the early songs on the easy difficulty, just in case the concept of Arabic numerals is a little too much to handle. On the odd occasion, you're required to feverishly spin the stylus, and these markers normally appear at the end of a branch section, of which each song typically has 3. After each branch is finished, the story progresses and you get a different cutscene depending on if you passed or failed. Success in each section is determined by the position of the meter at the top of the screen when the branch ends. If it says yes, you pass. If it says no or there's an exclamation mark, you fail. However, as long as it doesn't go all the way to the left, you'll finish the level regardless of how many sections you've passed or failed, and the only rewards for passing every section in a song are a tiny star and a sweet thumbs up from your commander. While the easy and medium difficulties are a great way to get used to the songs and scenarios, the game really picks up on hard and the unlockable 4th difficulty, which dispenses with the naming style and is just called Hard Rock. On Hard Rock, you play as the Elite Beat Divas, which adds a nice bit of variety to the cutscenes. It does beg the question why they're not the stars of the game if they're the only ones that can deal with the hardest problems. I mean, you wouldn't name Mythbusters after the B team, would you? Like with most rhythm games, the later songs on Elite Beat Agent's hardest difficulty can devolve into trial and error affairs with so much action happening on the screens that memory plays a role just as important as the rhythm itself. With no time available to look at the meter to see how you're doing, the game smartly lets you know you're about to fail by changing the camera angle behind the markers, zooming uncomfortably close to your chosen agent's contorted face. If you do fail, the penalty is simply having to start the song again. You have unlimited retries and you can quit at any time. So the gameplay is aged very well indeed, but what good is a rhythm game that plays well if there are no good tunes to play on it? Well, with songs from industry titans like the Rolling Stones, David Bowie and Deep Purple in there, not to mention party classics like September, Skater Boy and Believe, the soundtrack is pretty good. While there are some odd track choices considering the bands featured, for example if I told you Queen and Sum 41 were on here, I don't think anyone would pick I Was Born to Love You and Makes No Difference as the songs they would want to play, they're still absolutely fine. They are, however, all covers, as Elite Beat Agents was of a time when it was okay to do that. Just look at Guitar Hero 2. I mean, I can't pretend I know every single one of the originals. Seriously, who had heard of that Hoobastank song before? But the covers sound authentic, even on the DS's limited audio hardware, and the edits work well within the various in-game scenarios. Elite Beat Agents was also of a time when online play in a rhythm action game was simply not a thing. So multiplayer is limited to local only as long as your friends also have a copy of the game. The absence of online leaderboards, however, is a shame. Although in 2019 the DS's Wi-Fi system has long been defunct, so if they did exist back in 2006 you probably couldn't view them now anyway. But that shouldn't put any rhythm game enthusiasts off, because Elite Beat Agents is still great and will continue to be great for many years. It's not the longest game in the world, and there's obviously no DLC, but the hardest difficulty is very challenging, and thanks to the DS being region free, you can also check out the Owendan games after you're done. Elite Beat Agents comes highly recommended from me, but I think I'll leave the last word to the commander.
Mission complete!